Hello, everybody. This is Bernie Strum, and welcome to my YouTube broadcast for tonight's Diamonds and Dice Baseball podcast with myself, yours truly, Bernie Strum, and Beatles Eternally. Hey, Beatles.
Hey there, Bernie. Hey, everybody. Evening.
We're gonna discuss. We're gonna have a discussion tonight about our favorite baseball sims, and the reason for that is baseball season starting in less than a month, and the out of the park 27 game will be released next week, I think, isn't it?
So, out of the park for Steam users would be March 13th. If you buy directly from the developers on March, if you've already pre-ordered it, March 10th, you will get access to the final beta.
So we're 10 days away from out of the park 27, and that's when I like to consider baseball season starting in the sim world. When out of the park puts their game out, it's time to play the season.
Absolutely.
Anyway, you had a nice relaxing Sunday, or what have you done today, Beetle?
I did a 2 hour and 20-minute broadcast earlier today, but yeah, it's been pretty cool.
Oh, the 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's not a very long broadcast for you.
We're rearranging the Hall of Fame. That's what we were doing today.
Oh, really? Well, I listened for about an hour and a half, then I had to
I
go.
know you were there. Yeah.
So it was fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Anyway, we got a few people on here, so we might as well start since we're at the designated time. Our favorite 3 baseball sims. I'm going to give you mine. Then you can give me yours, and then we can discuss them one at a time. How's that sound?
That sounds great. Let's do it.
My list has changed over the years.
Oh, yeah?
And it's really changed in the last 12 months. I'll explain why a little later. But my number one baseball sim is Tribe Fan 879. Checks
Hey,
in.
Tim. Hey, Tim.
My number one favorite sim is Out of the Park Baseball. My number 2 is Action PC Baseball. And my number 3 is PC Replay Baseball. All 3 are digital games. And surprisingly enough, even though PC Replay Baseball is a direct port of a cards and dice game, that is not my favorite cards and dice game. If we were to throw another one in here, that could be a discussion for a little later on. How about you?
So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, brother. My favorite is Out of the Park Baseball. My second favorite is Action PC Baseball. My third favorite, that's tough. I suppose it's so for me, it's a toss up. And I know you're expecting me to say Pocket Pennant Run, but it's not. And I'll explain why a little later. I have a two-way tie for third place, and that's Diamond Mine Baseball and APA PC Baseball.
No ties. You got to break that one. You gotta commit.
Then APA PC Baseball.
Okay, I'm glad you picked that one.
Me too. It's yeah.
I'm glad you picked that one because that was one I wanted to discuss tonight. You know, I've had trouble with that game over the years, and I'm gonna be interested to hear what you have to say about them. Let's talk. Let's start talking about Out of the Park since we agree with that.
Okay.
I'll tell you that I like Out of the Park Baseball because I believe its results are believable. I think the number one reason it's my favorite game no longer exists because I own all the Action PC seasons. But the number one reason originally was that every season came with the game.
Right.
And it's
hey, Mark, welcome in.
It's really a lot of fun to not have to buy all the seasons. Number 2, when I watch it's got the number one video animation on the screen, and when a game has that kind of animation, I believe it immerses you in the game. You get drawn into the game, like watching real baseball.
Yeah.
And I guess if we're gonna keep things in threes today, the third reason it would be my number one number one baseball sim is that it's so immersive. There's so many different things you can do with it. You can play this game in almost any way imaginable.
Welcome in, Unifix. He is in Bangkok listening as always. Welcome in, my friend. Those are great reasons, Bernie. I would say, so in addition to the reasons that you've mentioned, for me also is the fact that when I'm playing a baseball game, whether I'm doing it as a sort of a broadcast or I'm just playing just on my own, the thing that I love about the out of park baseball that no other baseball sim has is with a click of the mouse, I can look at a player's entire career. In other words, I'm immersed in that. So to take that immersion factor a little further, let's say for season replay sake, let's say I'm doing 1966 because I know somebody on here is doing 1966. Great season, right? Great season. Orioles, Dodgers, World Series, all that. So when you look at the league history index and you go through that on out of the park baseball, it's baseball up to 1965. So it's really cool to be able to look at the milestones that should be coming up in the 1966 season, the records as they were as of the season that you're replaying. And again, just access at any time while you're in the game or you're outside, you're working with rosters, to be able to look at that history of baseball at that point and the player's entire career, basic and advanced stats. No other game does that. Even games that have all the seasons included, like Digital Diamond Baseball and Pocket Pennant Run, you can't do that with those games. And I love the fact that Out of the Park Baseball pretty much gives you baseball reference. It is baseball reference, but you can also play it. So there's that. That is definitely a huge factor for me for out of the park baseball.
When you sit down to play a sim, and you're not online, and you're not, you like to do a lot of tutorials online to show people how to do things. And when you just sit down and it's just you and the computer, is this the sim you go to first?
So that's interesting. Bernie, I asked that in today's broadcast earlier, and I was sort of asking guys, and so hopefully Mark and Unifix, everybody, and Mark, thank you for that really nice thing you just said about Bernie and I, about Bernie and me. I'm sorry for the bad grammar, Bernie and me. So I asked, and at that time, like, so guys, when you go, and whether it's a cards and dice game or a digital game, do you find yourself from night to night, like, I'm really kind of more in the mood to play this game or that game? But that's it, to give you a direct answer to the question. I do find that when I want to do a lot more experimental things, or I want to get into deep exploration, Out of the Park is the one I go to the most. Because if especially if I'm in the mood, like I want to try something different or I want to go deep, I know that Out of the Park is going to give me that in a pretty tidy package, and that's why. But it's not my go-to all the time, obviously. Yeah,
it's the one I go to if it's the only game I'm going to play, it's just me and the computer.
Okay, interesting.
Couple of reasons is that, like I said, the animation draws me into the game.
Oh yeah.
My imagination works overtime with the other games to get me in, and I can get in. But this one almost visually with Mike Silver's Parks.
Oh my God! And the uniforms and the uniforms
and the animation. I'm there without my imagination doesn't have to work overtime to get there.
So you can be in baseball without having to put in that extra. Right. I get that. I totally get that. Yeah.
And that's the reason that's my number one game.
Okay.
Anything you want to add before we go to number two?
So you guys have seen enough of the spoilers in Out of the Park 27. And again, I can't show any game. I'm one of the beta testers for it. So I can't show any gameplay yet till it's out or whatever. But keeping with what Bernie's talking about in terms of immersion and imagination and what it brings, they're definitely improving weather effects this year. And so there's been some graphic improvements and UI improvements that you guys will all see. I like the fact, for instance, that when it says we've got a light rain falling or fog's rolling or whatever, or it's partly cloudy, you're seeing that in that skybox in a day game, in out of the park baseball. And I love that, right? So other games like Action PC give you a little icon. I think PC Replay does the same thing, like the way meteorologists would use on your, yeah. But with much like MLB the Show, I'm getting a good sense of what that weather's like. So, ooh, this is a cold day in April in Chicago, and it's foggy or it's whatever. And I love that. It's those little touches that they do in out of the park baseball that I think are fantastic. But Bernie,
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question now, if
Okay,
I might.
hold the question though, because I want to say one thing to the audience.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
ask me the question.
All right.
If you're listening, and I'd like to discuss more than our 3
Mhm.
baseball sims. So if you're listening and you want to participate, please list your top 3 favorite baseball sims in the chat, and we will read them out, and we'll go over those too.
Well, I like what Mark had to say here. And by the way, guys, please, if you don't mind, Bernie, guys, please subscribe to Basement Box Scores. This is Mark Unger's new channel. And it's I already like answered a couple polls and stuff. It's going to be brilliant. He's going to have all kinds of luminaries, cognoscenti, and everything on this channel. A lot of head-to-head play, and really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Mark
me too.
says he got heavily into out of the park baseball during the pandemic. He said loved creating a team and players you really cared about. But for me, it only worked for fiction. So that's an interesting view slant on out of the park that we can maybe get into a little later, because I think that's a big issue with out of the park with some people.
It could be. So you're going to ask me a question before
Hey,
I
Jack.
got you off subject.
Yeah. So before we get to our number 2, and of course we know what that is, and for us it's Action PC Baseball, is you have owned and you have bought so many cards and dice games and so many digital games. I think you have like more baseball games than anybody, and I have a lot, and you outpace me, right? But like, were you on some sort of quest, some sort of search for that perfect baseball sim, or like that in that process of trying out baseball? What criteria? What were you looking for? I'm just curious.
Well, funny you should ask. I was looking for the perfect baseball sim in some aspects.
Okay.
However, I really enjoyed just studying the different mechanics of the different cards and dice games in particular, and how they played and why they played the way they did, and which ones I believed were believable and which ones weren't believable. And I sort of couldn't stop. I went for 2 or 3 year period that if it was a baseball game, I bought it. Some I only played once. Some I still play today on occasion. I don't play too much cards and dice anymore. The setup is, I guess the best word I'm going to use, the setup is tiring.
A bit cumbersome. Yeah, I get that.
I'd just rather click a couple of buttons and have the computer do all the setup for me. But I came to the conclusion that cards and dice games, for the most part, are for people who want to get into the minutia of the actual mechanics of baseball. They want to deal like Inside Pitch wants you to make a dice roll if your player is going to advance to the next base or 2 bases, or the hit to the outfield. You then have to roll again to see where the outfielder is going to throw. I didn't really want to get into that sort of thing. I wanted the computer to do that for me for the most part. Or similar like cards and dice, the APA baseball game. I wanted the game to do that for me. I was more interested in the flow of the game and immersing myself in my imaginary game in my head as it was being played, that I really didn't want to make every one of those little decisions. I'm probably one of the few people on earth that like APA's automatic base stealing system. And that's the reason why.
I mean, I actually like it too. I do. So, and I mean, and so for anybody, so I think, and we're getting some great comments here too, Bernie. I think when it gets down to it, I understand what you're talking about. So while I want the game to make some decisions for me, I want the agency to also be able to make decisions. And I think you do too. But here's the thing. My knock, and I know if Robert catches this later, I'm not knocking inside pitch baseball. All right. But if the situation warrants it and I want to advance a runner and I want to take that chance, I don't want a die roll to tell me I can't take that chance. I want to go ahead and take that chance. And that's one of my things with inside pitch that I struggle with. And I love watching Robert play it. I've loved watching David play it, baseball demos. But I don't want to have to be checking for each play because, like you, I think it interrupts flow.
Well, for me, it interrupts the flow. But when I play these games, I envision myself as the manager, not the player on the field.
Right.
And if a ball is hit to right field, the right fielder is going to make the decision on where to throw the ball. The manager isn't going to tell him where to throw the ball. I don't want to make that decision as the manager. I want the right fielder to make it. And so don't ask me which base I want to throw to. I do not want to be the right fielder.
Right. No, I completely get that. And I think that's one of the things that I very much love about, since we're still on out of the park baseball, I don't have to make those decisions, right? So if a ball is hit to right field and I'm playing a Pirates team, well, Roberto's going to unleash that cannon. I don't have to tell him throw to the cutoff man. I've got to trust my right fielder to do his job. I got to trust my shortstop to do his job. Is he going to try to get the shore out at first when he's got a fast runner tearing down the line towards second? Is he going to try to turn two or get the shore out? I don't want to have to say, okay, just get the shore out at first. You're the shortstop. You're in Major League Baseball. You know your job. Yeah.
That's exactly it, and that's probably why I gravitate towards the games I gravitate to, and why I did start with APA baseball in 1962,
as did Mark, as we see in the comments.
And back in those days, the three games I can remember being advertised would be APA, Strat-O-Matic, and Nagemco or something like that.
Nagemco. I remember reading that in Baseball Digest.
But I didn't have much money in those days. I could only buy one. I bought APA.
Okay.
And it turned out to be the perfect game for me. I'm not a big 50-50 guy like Strat has a gigantic fan base. And I love Strat. I play Strat Max all the time. I like Strat.
Oh, I love Strat Max too.
But the one weakness I think in the game is the 50-50 deal. When you roll the dice and it comes off the pitcher's card, it eliminates the hitter being involved, and the hitter's never eliminated in real baseball ever.
Oh no, can't be, because that's that confrontation.
But he is in that
game. Baseball
has
that no other game has. It's a team sport that centers on an individual confrontation. Doris Kearns, the historian and huge baseball and boxing fan, even compares baseball to a prize fight. And I think she's absolutely spot on about that. Hey, Stick Tap, welcome in, man. Boy, we're going to have to get to some of these comments here, Bernie. They're flying thick and fast.
I'm going to let you read them.
Well, all right, let's start here. So Mark, by the way, reminding us that it's not just his channel. So guys, this is pretty serious stuff he's going to be doing. It's a group project, so it includes Mark Unger, Pesky Pole, awesome dude. We got Michael Candestrani, John Turnbull, and Jeff Giordano. We got two paisans in there, so you already got me sold right there. Jack talking about Payoff Pitch coming, which we're all excited about. I don't know how that's going to work on Steam, but we'll see. But Mark says he thinks it comes down to realism, aesthetic, and where you started as a kid. So you both started with APA, as Mark continues. He says, so he prefers games where dice roll gives you an indication of the result. Strat is different. A 6-6 should always be a home run, he says, unless it's a guy who doesn't hit home runs. And he agrees with you as far as the manager. He says, yes, Bernie, that's why we bought these games in the first place, because Street and Smith's baseball. I still go on the Internet Archive and read those. They're all on there, by the way, guys. You are the manager. Exactly. Stick Tap says, greetings. If it feels like baseball and does not require too many gyrations to get a result, I like that. He says, I'm all in. If I need to roll a die to see if the third baseman is going to spit or scratch, I'm out. Amen to that, brother. Likes the auto steal also in APA. Mark says he has a phone call with John Hurston from APA tomorrow to talk about the documentary and how APA might be involved. I hope that John will get involved, because whether, I don't know, he realizes or not how groundbreaking baseball for Windows particularly is. If you're going to be talking about anything digital,
Well,
that game's still ahead of its time.
Well,
but we'll get there.
We'll get in that direction.
Right.
Let's go to number 2 on the list. What's your number 2 game on your list?
Action PC Baseball. And it's
also, I agree, that's number 2 on my list.
Yeah, it's a micrometer, if that, behind Out of the Park Baseball. It's that close.
I played several years. I've been playing it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I played that game a lot. It was probably my default game even before OOTP in the beginning. It was such an easy game to just download and play. You didn't have to read instructions.
Nope.
You could just play the game. With OOTP, you really had to read the instructions.
Oh,
No one's going to turn on OOTP and play the game without reading about it. But you can do that with Action PC.
Yeah.
And that's why I liked it. But I learned something. It was very interesting. 2 or 3 years ago, and you were involved with the Field of Dreams League when it started, because it came from the McGreevy.
Mm-hmm.
We started to use we used our Action PC for those games, and I started to play. And in fact, actually, this happened in the McGreevy League even before Field of Dreams. My teams would lose all the time. I was playing terrible. I had great players, but I wasn't playing well. And the reason why I wasn't playing well is I didn't understand the game. I never went into the manager files.
Right.
And once I started to learn Action PC, I found that Action PC actually is an extremely complicated game.
Yes,
and it may even be more complicated than OOTP in my mind. You can adjust every aspect of that game.
Mm-hmm.
If you get into all the gameplay screens, the manager screens, the player screens, and you can adjust and play that game, and you can tell the players what to do in almost every aspect. I find the game very complicated, and if it wasn't for the 20th century animation, it probably would be number 1 in my book. But that's why it's number 2. Why is it number 2 on your list?
So for me, what I love about it, and so as far as it being as complex as Out of the Park Baseball, it's close. So I would differ with you on that. I don't think it's quite as complex as Out of the Park Baseball. And now, bearing in mind, guys, that I've had a good look, and I've had some hours now with Out of the Park 27, and this next iteration, buckle up, it's just gotten a lot more deep. But so here's the thing about Action PC Baseball. It can be as simple as you want it to be, or it can be as complex as you're talking about, as you want it to be. And a lot of that is the brilliant UI design that they have. So it's no secret that Out of the Park Baseball has been working ever since 1999, its first edition, to streamline that user interface. But the thing is that the game has so many damn moving parts. And so they did a big change. I think it started with Out of the Park 16, I want to say, because I've often, and I'll do it tonight on a broadcast, I'll bring up Out of the Park 8, which you can still get for free from Out of the Park Baseball. And you look at that UI and how it's evolved. But with Action PC Baseball, you've got all the red buttons up there. Okay, so those are the main things, and I think that they were very smart at DK Sports to say, okay, what are players mostly going to do with this game? The deep stuff comes in the menus above it, right? That's
Yep,
where you get
that's
into the
it.
crazy customized reports. One of the reasons it's my first, so it's a different aesthetic. When they introduced the baseball cards in I think it was Action PC 23, I love the baseball cards. I feel like it takes me back to a kid. When I was a kid, we had baseball cards. So I love that old time baseball aesthetic that Action PC has. I mean, let's face it, Out of the Park is pretty glitzy in comparison. It is. But the other thing I love about it is how easy it is to set up projects. So especially at the player level. So let's say I wanted to recreate the Bats set, for instance, or let's say I wanted to create something from inside or not inside pitch, payoff or PC replay. They have some cool things in there like memorable matchups and all that kind of stuff. And Action PC, as long as I own the seasons, bada boom, bada bing, I can set that up at the team level in minutes. But if I want to go deeper and work at the player level, again, if I have the seasons that I need, which like you, I have all the seasons for the game, all the major league seasons. All I have to do is pick that season, click the dude's name, and import them. Out of the Park baseball, I either import them one at a time, which I don't suggest you guys do, or I've got to create a separate text file to do a mass player import. And that to me is Out of the Park's Achilles heel. And that's one of the strengths of Action PC baseball is that you can create projects in half the time it takes to do them in Out of the Park baseball, excluding World Series. Out of the Park baseball excels in that tournament mode. I like it for that reason. I like the fact that you've got real ballpark images. So all love to Mike Silva and his ballparks, and they're amazing in his uniform mod. And certainly to the 30 parks that come with Out of the Park, they're beautiful, but they're modeled. Whereas in Action PC baseball, I can choose to play the game on a real looking ballpark using Mike's ballparks, or I can play it right on top of Cape Beckinsale. And I know that sounds very, very racy, but there you go. But I have to say, I think it's the ease of use with Action PC baseball. You can literally buy that game, buy a season, start it up, and without doing anything except changing logos and assigning ballparks, you're off to the races, and that makes it beautiful.
And if you don't want to change ballparks, and if you don't care about the logos, you can play it in 5 minutes after you download it.
Right. So that is the that is its beauties. Of course, it's a really fine baseball engine. The other thing I love about it is one of the products that DK Sports sells, and that's the baseball history collection. And I lost my mind, as you know, on Black Friday last year when that thing was going for $9. And I'm like, guys, don't sleep on this. There's the only so Diamond Mine Baseball has a thing called the All-Time Great Players Volume 1 and Volume 2. And I know you guys are going to chuckle. It only has 4,500 players. That's still a lot, but with that baseball history collection, you get the peak slice of every player's career, and you've got more than 18,500. In other words, pretty much everybody who's played baseball and who is retired. And the projects you can create with that, you're only limited by your imagination. And the only other game that has something like that is the career historical disc thing from Strat, which when I used to play Strat PC, I jumped on that like brown on rice. And I was so disappointed in that. It was awful. So Action PC for ease of use, and I don't want to think too much, but then when I want to get into deep analysis, it allows me to do that. And I think it complements Out of the Park well. That's why they're my number 1 and number 2.
Well, I
Hey,
think
midlife.
we both agree, I think, pretty much on 1 and 2. I
Yeah.
think number 3 is where we're going to start to diverge.
Two roads diverged into what, and I took the one less traveled by. Thank you, Robert Frost, for a great segue. Yes.
My number 3 is PC Replay. And
okay.
Basically, I know because I know what you think of PC Replay.
I'm going to repeat it anyhow. Go ahead.
And you and Steve Tate are the only 2 people I know on earth that hate the game. However, with that said, what I'm going to tell you is that I play 99% today digital games. Like I said, I don't like setting up games. I don't have the room. I don't want to have it
Right.
sit around. I don't want to invade my wife's kitchen and go on the table. I have an office, but my desk is so full of computer equipment, I no longer have space to set up a cards and dice game.
Right.
With that said, I can play a cards and dice game on the screen as it was meant to be played.
Mhm.
And that's what, deep down inside, I'm still the 12-year-old kid sitting in my parents' living room on the floor with all the APA cards spread out and everything, and waiting to roll a 66 for the Red Sox and players like Frank Malzone and Don Budden and Jim Pagliarone and guys that only Red Sox fans know about. And that's why I like playing PC Replay. It is a fun card. It is a cards and dice game that I can play digitally, and I don't have to do any of the work. The computer does it. There you go. I know your number 3 isn't PC Replay.
No, it isn't. And so what's really fun about this too is our respective number 3s are games that we've each had issues with, right? Because you've had issues with my number 3, which is APA PC Baseball.
You bet.
And the issues I've had is yours, PC Replay. So the reason I love baseball for Windows, and I love it to death, is I think that it's a game that is really, really, really underestimated by people because, and partially this goes on APA and the fact that APA hasn't done a great job letting people know that the game is still available. I had many people come into broadcast. Wow, I remember playing this, whatever, many years ago. I wish it was still available. And I'm like, it is, just go order it. So I kind of felt like I was doing APA's marketing a little bit. But here's the thing. So people hear the Ernie Harwell voice and they think that's the whole of the game. And nothing could be further from the truth. That said, there is nothing in my mind like firing up a game of baseball for Windows and listening to, even with all the bits of cracks and pops, we're talking about 1994, 1995, right? Proto AI technology, which it really is. First game with a reactive crowd, an intelligent crowd, all that. It feels like I'm listening to a radio broadcast. It really does. And all the years I've been playing that game, there are still things I hear Ernie Harwell saying. But underneath all that is a baseball game that, again, is very, very, very deep. You can get super deep with APA PC Baseball for Windows, but most people don't go beyond that because it has a modular interface, and that freaks people out, right? So
certainly freaks me out.
Right. So now with PC Replay, I love watching you play it. I love watching our Red Sox fan play it. But I've tried twice, and I'm a fairly smart dude. I'm not toot my horn, but I'm not a complete slow coach. I couldn't even figure out, and neither could Steve Tate, also a smart. We both have master's degrees, right? And neither of us could figure out how to get a damn game started in that. So I know even for our Red Sox fan, he was the one that first told me about that, about PC Replay. He's like, "Are you going to check it out?" And I'm just, yeah. So this was back when everybody was still talking on Skype, you guys. This is like 2018, 2019. I tried it. I'm like, I wasn't feeling it. And I was like, yeah, I'm just not really feeling it. So I tried it again. May his memory be eternal. Robbie Wartburg's like, come on, you got to try it again. Tried it again. Didn't feel it. Our Red Sox fan, I finally got it. I like it. And then he really got into it. It just doesn't click with me. I'm sure it's a great baseball game, but it's just, I don't know if it's the other thing is the voiceover type stuff in there kind of just, went out, runner on second. I don't like it. It jars me. It does. It doesn't immerse me in baseball the way my 3 do. But am I saying you're playing a bad game? Absolutely not. I think it's a great game. It's a great system, but it just didn't click with me.
My imagination has to work overtime with PC Replay, of course.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Because it doesn't have any animation. It has some nice photos.
Yeah.
And it does make the card run around the bases, but that's not animation. But it makes me feel like I'm playing a game. I have to. The only thing I agree with you on APA for Windows,
Mm-hmm.
and because I can't. For years, I've tried to figure out the modular system. I can't get a season replay going with that game to save my life. If you told me I had to figure out how to do it, or you'd shoot me, I'd be dead.
Well, it's a good thing I don't own a gun then. So,
however, I do like one-off games because I can close my eyes and I don't need my imagination. I can listen to Ernie Harwell call the game, and it's real to me.
Yes, same here. In fact, I often tell the story with so my present girlfriend hasn't heard the game yet, but my last girlfriend, I was down at her house one night and she's making dinner. I said, babe, I'm gonna just fire up a baseball game here. She's like, oh, cool. She liked baseball. So I thought I guess maybe she thought I was just gonna play just a baseball game. All of a sudden, Ernie Harwell, hello again, everybody. This is Ernie Harwell. And her head snapped around. She's like, oh my God. And she she said, no, let me. So Ernie's calling the game, and she said, you know what? She said, I could totally imagine just lying back, and just closing my eyes and listening. She said, it feels like it sounds like you're listening to a real baseball broadcast, and that's what I love because, look, I'm not a 20-something. I'm up here in our age demographic, and I miss listening to baseball on the radio. I miss it. I miss hearing Lanny Fratteri call Pirate games. Okay. But I can at least get that same sense of remembering back being an undergraduate at Penn State. I'd stick the damn radio in the window of my flat. And my best friend and I in college would be outside having a catch and listening to Bucko games. And so for me, I wanted to learn, okay, how do I get around action, or how do I get around baseball for Windows? So I guess I didn't have that same impetus, that same thing that draws me in, because I know, right, PC replay isn't saying to me, come hither. Yeah, it's just not.
It's funny you should mention.
It is a great girlfriend, Mark. Oh, absolutely.
It's funny you should mention radios. By the way, Midlife Crisis checking in, and
absolutely,
and for in case you're interested, I'm using a USB headphone, and it's not a cheap one. I forget the name of it. I'd take it off and read you the name, but then you wouldn't be able to hear me. And I'm using StreamYard with I'm using StreamYard, which if I'm not playing a game, StreamYard is really good when I use it online. It's not that great for the sounds of the baseball games I play, but when we just do a podcast like that, I don't have any special equipment. So
I don't know, Bernie. You kind of sound clear. You sound like God when you right now in my ears. You sound like God.
I'm gonna skip right by that and go to your radio comment about Ernie Harwell. I became a baseball fan in 1959, the first time I ever really remember a baseball game. I'm listening to a game on the radio. The Red Sox are playing the Yankees.
It's the
10th inning, and their shortstop, Don Budden, wins the game in the bottom of the 9th inning by hitting a grand slam home run.
Oh,
now, most people don't know who Don Budden is. And this game meant nothing to anybody but me in history. But I was able to go back and find that game on Baseball Reference, so I know the exact date I became a baseball fan.
That's super cool. Wow.
I don't have it in front of me, and I could look it up. But
I
do know that, and it's all because of radio.
Nice.
And I do remember in elementary school sneaking a transistor radio, which was not that small back in the early 60s, into school during the World Series, because they were only day games, no night games, and trying to listen to the World Series in the middle of classes. That's what that's when I think of radios, that's what I think of with Ernie Harwell and baseball.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I mean,
Anything else you want to add about Apple for I'm not gonna knock Apple for Windows, and you're really not gonna knock PC Replay.
No,
Other
I
than
think
what we
PC. I
have.
think it's
Anything else you
yeah,
want to add about Apple for Windows?
yeah. I think that it's a game that if you can work around, getting used to something that doesn't have everything on one screen, but you have to work with modules. That's the trick with that game. It's a deep baseball game that, again, I think that the Ernie Harwell thing is obviously it's crowning achievement. It really is. What the Miller brothers did with that. Come on, you play 3 or 4 games of MLB The Show and you listen to their broadcasters. You've pretty much heard everything they're going to say. Ernie, again, I've been playing this game since Baseball for Windows, since the 3.5 edition, I think it was. So latter part of the 90s, I think, whatever it was. And I still hear Ernie, like he'll say, I was like, I've never heard this before. And for the longest time, Bernie, that was like that when in old time baseball, which I love old time baseball. Those were the games I played. I really loved those games. This was after Earl Weaver and Microleague. But I don't know, guys, give it a try. It's a good game. I'll do as many damn tutorials as people want on it. It's a great game.
You have them all on there if they want to search your
Pesky Pole's
YouTube.
here. Pesky Pole's here. So part of this great project. Pesky Pole, man, where have you been? It's great to see you. And you should be, I mean, you got to love the nickname, Bernie. You're a Red Sox fan.
You bet. I listen to his stuff all the time on
He's
YouTube.
great, man.
Channel.
He's great. Yeah, he's great. I can't wait for this thing to kick off with Pesky Pole, with Mark, just with everybody. And like I said, there's 2 paisanos in there. Bad Italian grammar, paisani. So it's funny you talk about the radio thing. So it's obvious to me you didn't go to Catholic school. So I tried that once.
They let Jewish kids in Catholic schools?
Yeah. Hell yeah. We had a Protestant. Oh my God. We had a Protestant. And I went to an Irish Catholic school and we had a Protestant. Whoa, half Irish, but we're like, I went home to my mom. I'm like, Mom, there's a Protestant in my class. And she's like, it's okay. So, but funny. I tried bringing a radio in, man, because I wanted to listen to baseball during the day. Who needs the school stuff, And I don't remember the nun's name, but anybody who served time in Catholic school, you've all had this nun, right? Oh, absolutely. Pesky Pole says he appreciates the love, man. You guys are awesome. Dude, I got caught, Bernie, and she was like, she might as well have been Sister Mary Immaculata of the Sublime Black Plague. Dude, I got such a paddling, and I never brought a radio anywhere near 300 feet of Our Lady of Lourdes school where I went.
That's funny.
Oh, dude, you don't mess with the nuns.
Well, let's do a broadcast about Catholic schools.
I got paroled in 9th grade. I'm just letting you know. I got paroled in 9th grade and went to public school. Yeah.
Listen, I'm going to throw a curveball at you. We haven't discussed this. This is about our 3 favorite baseball sims, and we've spent 45 minutes discussing them. I'm going to give you an honorable mention. Who would you pick 4th?
Oh, why do you make this so difficult? Because you limit me and you throw these things at me. I'm only allowed to pick one honorable mention.
One honorable mention.
Oh, jeez. Could I say it's pocket pennant diamond mine game? No. Okay.
You cannot combine the 2. You got to make up your mind.
That's a problem with you. You're too smart. Okay, let me see here. Jesus. Okay. Wow. So what's yours? I'm trying to buy some time here, dude. Go ahead.
My 4th is Diamond Mine Baseball.
Diamond Mine. Okay, great choice.
And because it's much like Apple for Windows for me. I read the descriptions of the play, and they're so descriptive that I think I'm watching the game with a game that has zero animation.
So Diamond Mind excels at that. Yes.
It's also very accurate.
Mhm.
I love their reports.
Yep.
I love the fact you can sim a season in 35 seconds.
It's almost as fast as Baseball for Windows. Baseball for Windows is the fastest season replay I've ever seen. But yeah, it's fast.
And so I enjoy the game, no question. That would be my fourth choice. If I was limited to only playing 4 games for the rest of my life, those are the 4 I'd pick.
So I want to talk a little bit more about Diamond Mine Baseball because I'm a magician. I'm gonna try to throw shade here by praising your honorable mention. I love Diamond Mine Baseball, and I know that some folks, members of our baseball family, have adopted it because they've seen it on the channel. And I used to have it on there for Saturday night baseball chin wags, just so people would have something to look at while we're all doing the whole rabbiting about everything. So I decided one night, I love this game because I find myself reading that play-by-play and I am drawn in. And your imagination, the writing, the play-by-play in that game is incredible. And I literally have found myself on the edge of my seat as plays are unfolding
as
in
it
Diamond
prints
Mine.
out on screen with Diamond
Yes.
Mine, I can actually see the play in my
Yes.
brain.
Yes, same. The only thing that's close to it, I would say, or maybe on par with it, obviously, again, is Baseball for Windows. All right, so you've been asking me for my number 4. Prior to this recent update and Paul Fay's addition to Baseball HQ, I too would have said Diamond Mine Baseball. But since you're pushing me, Pocket Pennant Run would be my number 4, my honorable mention.
I'm so glad you said that. I'll tell you in a minute after you espouse your reasoning.
So Pocket Pennant Run Baseball gives, for me, what PC Replay Baseball does for you, the ability to at least virtually roll dice. And so I do get that, it's like, okay, that kind of suspense that you get with a cards and dice game as the dice are rolling. I love the fact that it's extremely flexible. Then you add in Paul Fay's Baseball HQ, and the baseball toolkit, the HQ toolkit, and all of a sudden this game is on a completely different level. The databases, the 8 data, when you combine them, dwarf anything else out there. And I mean, I could play. Well, I don't know what her real name was, but I could have Dottie Hinson facing Satchel Paige on the mound with Jimmy Fox at first, and you get my meaning. So there's so much flexibility with Pocket Pennant Run. That being said, it's a game that doesn't have the pedigree of Diamond Mine Baseball. It just hasn't been around that long. But I really see great things for Pocket Pennant Run, and that's why. But that said, my other honorable mention is Diamond Mine Baseball. It's all yours now, Bernie.
Well, listen, I don't have much to say. Pocket Pennant Run is a game I want to like. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Okay.
There's so many. You have to click that mouse so many times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it reminds me of Apple for Windows. It's a bunch of separate programs all rolled up into a snowball. They're trying to make one program out of it, and they didn't quite get there.
I love it. That says a lot about us as people. I think you're far more organized than I am, Bernie. I do. I just sense that.
I don't want to put modules together to make a game.
Okay. Fair. That's Fad Dinkum. Pesky Pole says his favorites are PC Replay, Dynasty League Baseball. We should talk about guys like Dynasty League and Strat Max and Apago for a little bit. And Adel Parker, his 3 favorites. Mark says he's been in a Diamond Mine League. He's been going strong for 35 years. And John Turnbull, one of the folks in their collective project coming up, the Basement Box Scores, been a commissioner at that for 35 years.
I like Dynasty League Baseball.
Mike's here.
I think with Dynasty League, my problem is this: the rosters are limited.
Mm-hmm. I love. You know what? I love the density of the cards though in that game.
And
I'm gonna try to subscribe to it at some point because
I
I think
like
it's a
playing
cool
it
game.
online but it's still too many dice rolls. Once again, you got the dice rolls to throw the ball, the dice rolls because the wind's blowing in, the dice rolls because
Mhm.
it's raining. Uh, a few too many dice rolls for me in the game, but I don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed it. I played seasons, replayed seasons with Dynasty League, and I did subscribe to it for 2 or 3 years. I just recently went through an austerity program, so I unsubscribed to a bunch of things. That was one I did.
Yeah, I just bought a car. I have to do austerity too. It sucks. So we both love Strat Max. Why don't we talk about that game for a few minutes? What do you think?
Well, that's a good idea because Strat Max to me is PC replay baseball. I get the same fun of playing a cards and dice game without having to do all the work.
I love it too. And so Mark, he says, I love how obsessed we all are. And so do I. Sports Time Machine's with us. Mike, what are your 3 favorite Sims, man? Cards and dice or digital? Throw in, brother. So Mike, our good friend out there in Utah. So yeah, man. So for a while I had Apago and Strat Max. And so originally, Bernie, being more of an Appa guy. So in college, my my analog baseball games in order of preference were Status Pro, Appa, and Strat. And I loved Strat, right? I did. But I liked Appa more, and I absolutely loved the living crap out of Status Pro. I love fast action card systems. I might be in the minority there, but I love that about that game.
No, I'm a fast action card fan.
Yeah,
It simplifies the game. I
yeah,
know it doesn't. People love to roll dice. I get it. It's the tactile
yeah.
thing, but I like the fast action cards.
My problem with dice is this. I love rolling dice too, but because I'm a sleight of hand magician, I'll start rolling I would start rolling baseball games. I'm like, wait a minute, would this vanish work if I? And so I actually start practicing sleight of hand. Fast action cards, they're crappy card stock as far as a magician is concerned. That's one of the reasons I like it. But with Strat Max, man, there's so I was thinking, okay, Apago's the one I'm going to keep, and I would tell everybody in the family, I'd say, Strat Max probably not going to hold on to it. And I found that when I wanted to just play one of those 2 games, it was Strat Max. And I'm like, okay, why is that? And so the presentation, while it's glitzy, everything I need except for one complaint I do have about Strat Max that Apago I think does better. It was right there. It was right there on the screen, and I have it set so the dice are rolling slowly and it's moving around the columns, and I love it. And it throws surprises at you, and
To-
it has the Tribe fan seal of approval too. So
Totally agree. By the way, Pesky Pole mentioned something that's very interesting and very true. Dynasty League Baseball Line is so much fun to play. He sets it up as a closed engine game so you don't see the dice rolls. By the
oh,
way, that's what I did too because it speeds up the game
so
immensely.
you can do that. So
Yes,
you can
you
do
can
that.
shut off the dice rolls. It'll do it in the background. And I think it's a much better playing game that way. It's quicker and the
Okay.
flow of the game is good. This has been a podcast. Our podcasts sometimes drag. We not all of them are great, but this was a good podcast. The reason I know that is because I'm looking at my clock and it says we have 6 minutes left. And this time went really fast, but I want to talk about one other game if we could.
It's go on, brother.
I want to talk about the upcoming PC version. Can you guess which game we're talking about?
I cannot wait for that.
What game am I
Bernie,
talking?
we're on your channel. You should name it. I know exactly what game you're talking about.
No, you name it.
No, you name it.
No, I don't want to name it.
Should we
I've
name it on
forgotten the
3?
name.
Should we name
I'm
it
75 years old, so that's why I'm trying to fake it. So
I'm
why
not
don't you play around with me?
I'm 92. All right. So how about if we let's do it on 3. 1,
One, two,
2, 3. Payoff pitch,
payoff pitch.
baby.
That's it. I don't know why it left my mind, but it did. Sorry about that, guys.
Bernie, you sly fox, you.
Payoff pitch.
Oh my
I
God, I
love
can't wait.
payoff pitch's flow of the game.
Yep.
I know I didn't mention it earlier because I'm an APA guy and I like the one roll, and nothing's more exciting than rolling a 66. But I like the mechanics of payoff pitch because it all starts where baseball really starts. It starts on the mound with the pitcher. Did he throw his pitch? Did he miss his pitch? Did he miss his spot? Did he hit his spot? Nothing. That batter is going to hit the ball if he misses his spot or throws a bad pitch, just like the game.
Yeah. Oh my God. You've pretty much said it all. And Avinroot, he's actually offered me the opportunity to beta test. So they're about to go into the beta phase, and I'm like dying every day because I'm buying the game regardless. I've never seen a game in this community, Bernie, where people were so like just absolutely like buzzed about it. You know, I cannot wait.
Yeah, I've stopped buying baseball sims. I've got about 100. I've stopped buying them.
Oh my God.
Because it was a waste of my money. It was I loved the journey going through all those games.
Okay.
If you go on my Facebook page, I've posted the games I own several times. If you can't find it, I'll post it on my Facebook page this week of all the different. I think in total I might have 175 games total.
Wow.
I probably play 10, if that goes to show you. I spend more time updating my Steam games than playing them. Anyway, to make a long story short, I'm really looking forward to Payoff Pitch. It is one game I'm going to not only buy,
Pesky Pole, he's excited.
I'll probably buy all the seasons that are available as they come out. I can see that being a regular game in my rotation.
So I want to comment about that for a moment. So here's the interesting thing. I just learned from Jack Dawson, who's with us here, and a couple other people that game's going to Steam. So I think that's a great strategy because there are only 2 baseball games on Steam you can buy as far as sim games, right? And that's Out of the Park Baseball and Digital Diamond. Here's where they could run into issues with the Steam community is because I'm guessing they're going to be selling individual seasons. People may look at that and they're going to look at Out of the Park Baseball and Digital Diamond and say, because the Steam community is going to be like, what's with all the DLC? They're going to be talking about these seasons as DLC. So it's going to be interesting to see how Payoff Pitch navigates that ecosystem. But regardless, I'm buying the damn game, and I too will be buying seasons. I'm like you, I'm a completionist. I'm so excited for it, man.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We only got a few minutes left. Anything we didn't discuss?
Everything we didn't discuss, of course. But I like your. So I want to say I like your rationale for your 3 picks. And I get like where you're coming from with PC Replay, and I know you understand where I'm coming on with APA PC Baseball. They're both great products, but I think it's really a case that for each of us, those were 2 games that just didn't click with us. It doesn't. But I enjoy watching PC Replay Baseball, but I don't see myself playing it. And I think it's a great game, but it just didn't, it just didn't draw me in. Action PC drew me in immediately. Just the baseball games that I own drew me in. And there are ones that I don't play. And, I dropped my APA Go subscription, not because it's a bad game. It's because I think it needs a little bit of work still. And
visually, it's terrible. I'm be honest with you.
Well, I'm tired of looking Great American Ballpark. I mean, come on. A little CSS goes a long way, APA. Come on. If I'm playing the 1955 Brooklyn Dodgers, I don't want to be in Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. So Pesky Pole says PC Replay Baseball was on Steam. When games are on Steam, you never have to worry. Oh yeah, you're right. That's why I tell people, look, I realize that Steam takes a big cut from the developers, but Out of the Park Baseball and Digital Diamond Baseball, stay updated. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
Well, Beatles.
Oh, damn it, Bernie.
It's all over.
No.
We spent an hour.
Can't we do 15 more minutes?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, Bernie.
1 hour. You got to leave people wanting to
tune into
the next broadcast.
You remind me of that nun.
You know,
Got me with the radio.
I've read studies about these things. 1 hour is optimum. You can get people to listen for an hour, but after that, they start to get bored. The last thing I want to do is fall asleep at the mic.
All right.
But we can do more than one broadcast a month. I mean, I think maybe we should do a second one when OOTP 27 comes out in a couple of weeks and do an entire podcast about the program, since it was both our number one games.
All right. That's cool. Mark's saying some nice things about us here. So thank you, Mark, on behalf of both of us. And
Mike Silva, hey.
He says he's in before Bernie dozes off. Comment of the night, baby.
I love Mike Silva. He's I talk to him almost every day of the week on Discord with the Field of Dreams group. He's a fun guy.
I'd love to get, if just in the closing seconds here, Bernie, you got the last word. It's your channel. But I'd love if we could get Mike on a Diamonds and Dice here again real soon.
Well, let's get him on. I'll talk to him tomorrow. Maybe we can get him on for the OOTP show we're going to do later this month.
Sounds great to me, brother. Anyhow, I'll just say my quick good nights to everybody, and Bernie gets to close the show this month.
I'd like to thank Pesky Pole, Mike Silva, Basement Box Scores. Everybody's in here. Okay, who am I? If I miss you, I apologize. Jeffrey 1852. He must be one of your guys, huh, Beatles?
One of my guys. Yeah, he's part of the Borgata. Yeah, that's Jeff Ray.
I've never
Brilliant
seen him
writer.
in one of my broadcasts. Midlife
Brilliant
Crisis
writer.
came by. Stick Tap Sports Network.
Yeah.
Jack Dawson comes by. Jack Dawson's always on your broadcast. Unifix and Tribe Fan 879. Thank you for all checking in. We had a good group. It was a fun talk, Beatles. Once again, I enjoyed our back and forth. This Diamonds and Dice thing is so much fun, basically because we just do it because we like it. We don't do it for any other reason.
Nope. Well, unless Kate Beckinsale's listening, and then I'll up my game.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming by. We'll see you in a few weeks. We'll do the OOTP show. How's that sound?
I'm all over it, man.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.